Nothing routine.
All right, good afternoon. It is 1 p.m. Tuesday, February 4th, this administration committee meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that the press and public have been duly notified of the meeting in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. All committee members are present. Nicole, citizens' comments?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. First item is approval of previous meetings minutes. We have January 10th, 23rd, and 24th. Is there a motion?
We'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Any edits, changes?
Nope.
Nope. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item is old business discussion and consideration of job description for financial analyst. I think history, as I may know it, is we had put this in the budget 2 years ago, maybe as a financial analyst position. Once Deborah got on board, we decided to pause that and let her get grounded and talk about, and have a feel for what she needed. You could come back to the record keeping or bookkeeping type position. I think this committee and council had pushed back to, think about an analyst position. So I think what we have in front of us is maybe a compromise, somewhere in the middle of that.
That's right.
So Deborah, I'll let you or Janice, whoever wants to take it away.
So I changed the job description to kind of incorporate what the council was requesting as well as what's needed. So for the job description, I included some forecasting, like projected revenues, debt service, our capital layout, any personnel costs or operational costs that will, that the city will foresee over a model period of time, as well as opportunities for any growth the city can have in investments of the LGIP money, that investment accounts that we currently have, as well as any economical opportunities or warnings or any restrictions in legislation, interest rates, these type things that analysts will look at and project over any long-term period of time, like with the aging community that we currently have out here. That affects our property taxes, and whether residents can go into the homestead exemption, anything that they can look at to determine the foresight of the city, as well as helping with our current responsibility. Now, there are lots of things that I currently do that are bookkeeping responsibilities. That's just what the job is. So I would need assistance in some of those things, because we have a current model that David Cheatwood and his group did, that is definitely manageable once we, because the data is already there. I think it's a great opportunity for us to use that model, because we paid for that model, and this is something that the new financial analysts could work with and grow upon and improve upon. I also think that this position gives us the opportunity to look at some of the things that are not currently taking place in the city now, like the state accommodation tax, comparing those with the county accommodation tax, as well as the business license, any auditing that can take place there, to make sure that we're capturing all the revenue that the city can capture. That I feel like there's a shortfall in that, because I'm only one person and I can't do it all. So to be able to capitalize on a person that can help me with those responsibilities, as well as give the city better financial presentations that will be more efficient to what the city needs and would like to see. I also don't think that, regardless of who we choose or what we do, there would never be a system that would not need some kind of manipulation. Anything that we do, whether it's exporting from BSNA, which is our accounting software, it have to be dumped into Excel and it would be manipulated. I don't think there's ever gonna be something that we could use to have everything in, to be able to push a button and get everything we need. There will always be some type of manipulation to anything that we put information into. So I think that the person that we do hire, I understand that we would like that person to be a CPA candidate. I would recommend that that person have tenure here, that they would sign some type of agreement, that they would at least stay at least 3 years, because if you are a CPA candidate, that means that we will probably pay for that person to take the examination. And I think that we should probably ask that person to commit at least 3 years to the city. And I also don't know if the current salary that we have projected, well, or have changed it to, I don't know if we'll be able to find a person, because people are graduating from school making at least $80,000 a year. So I don't know if that will pose, the current salary minimum will pose a problem. I don't know.
Well, I think I mean, you changed it, but I think we're in agreement. I don't think there was ever the intent of having someone as just a bookkeeper, nor nor was it in the intent of having someone just being pure analyst. I think it was a combo role that would be able to have the skills and capability to do both. But the way it was previous written was an entry-level bookkeeper, and I don't think that was the intent of what we wanted to bring in. We wanted someone with a little bit more capability and skills to do modeling, some of the things you talked about, but certainly financial modeling, and hopefully he had the skills and capabilities to even develop the models, instead of us relying on outside sources, and to put more analysis into, especially around budget time and trends, and so they give us better information to make decisions on. So I think that's part of what this role is, and I think that it reflects that in the description that you've written. I think as far as and I would think it would be CPA or CPA candidate. I think either one. So it could be somebody that has CPA already, and instead of saying just a candidate. So I think I generally agree with the way it's written. I mean, I could nitpick a couple things. It's not worth it. I think it's generally in line with what we thought. I guess the question that came up, and this is outside of the description, and we keep getting emails around this disability thing in here, and I don't know if it's worth it to keep it in here or just get it out. I don't know if this is a legal recommendation or what it is.
What is it
These
exactly?
physical demands of the
So-
job, and whether this.
So that-
In the end.
So that came from Evergreen.
Yeah.
They created the template for us, vetted it through their legal team, and I vetted it through our legal team. So depending on where the job function is, in this case, it's a clerical area. Those are standard across the board. If you look at a firefighter job description, theirs is different.
Yeah. It just seems to be kind of contradictory to me, but I don't know, and not sure that we need it, but,
The first part.
in this
the
last part,
I
Yeah.
feel like those two were a little bit.
yeah.
Those have been
yeah,
vetted through our,
yeah,
those have been
yeah.
vetted through our.
I would take a
I know
look,
that together.
I would take a look at it, because it doesn't make sense to me
Two
right
don't
now.
jive.
Yeah.
We can have, look at it again. Yeah.
Jimmy, what about your view?
Well, a couple things. Deb was right, the market is tight for accounting professionals. If the person's a CPA candidate, and they have to pass the exam, they have to have 2 years' experience working under a CPA, not any other accounting professional designation. And so the chances of getting a CPA candidate in here, unless they've worked for a CPA already 2 years, and they haven't passed the exam yet, or we're just, the market is really getting slim. And she is right about the starting salary. There is a real shortage of CPAs and CPAs. in the country, and it's only getting worse. As time goes by, it's gonna be hard to find somebody for the type of, money that we're offering. That's just reality. Those two facts right there is just reality. You can dream all you want, but there's no escaping that. And secondly, in my job, there's a gap between the client giving me information and me compiling a financial statement in order to prepare a tax return. The client is not large enough to have a bookkeeping department or even a bookkeeper. And so they depend on me. And if it's a lot of bookkeeping, I have like 2 bookkeepers that work for me. Their rate is not quite as high as mine. And they said, don't send me any more. I've got more than I can possibly handle right now. And so the client ends up paying my rate, which is $200 an hour, to do bookkeeping. And so I think Deborah made a point, is that if you're looking for a financial analyst that's got all these credentials and everything, then I think you need to be realistic and understand this is gonna take a lot of bookkeeping. She needs a lot of help. She's only one person. And as far as the budget analysis, forecasting, financial condition analysis and all of that stuff, it's another case where we got more chiefs and not enough Indians. And I think we need, realistically, given how hard the market is and how, if we're gonna find a candidate with our criteria, it needs to be somebody that's more towards a bookkeeping side than a financial analyst, because the market's just not there for the money and the credentials that we want. I would suggest maybe get rid of the CPA candidate, or you're not gonna get a CPA in here or anywhere close to the kind of money that we're talking about. So it's time for us to get real about this.
What's the range?
So the GO7 is 60,000 to 80,000.
The top of it is 80.
Yep. And I moved that, it was GO6
Yeah.
was the previous one, we moved it up to GO7.
Well,
I think
Right.
we can, remove the CPA candidate and maybe start the salary at a little higher than the minimum. Maybe change the pay grade to 1 grade higher.
yep.
I just personally don't think that we will get a qualified candidate and with that pay grade. And we want someone that will be able to do all the things that's on this job description and
Yeah.
the definition of what Jimmy has shared with me.
I don't have a problem. I think we put CPA candidate, the recommendation of Councilman Ward. If he's had a change of heart on that, I'm fine with removing that, and I'm fine with putting in the G8 level.
Hardest to review it
Yeah,
fast.
yeah. I mean, I don't think we should be, it depends what we want. Are we trying to get someone in here to fill a new competency for the city, or are we trying to meet a salary? To me, we set a certain competency level. We said we needed help in this area. This is what we want. And if the market whatever the market bears, that's what we should put in here as a salary range. I don't know if we know right now. We've not gone out. I can tell you after the last 15 years of hiring accountants with similar type of descriptions of these, that I don't think you're going to get someone between 60 and 80,000, and I think, I do agree with that. So if we need to go up in a range, we should go up in a range, not down in the skill set that we're looking for, because this is what we said we wanted. So I think if that's what I'm all for that. What's a G8?
I don't have that information with
Okay.
me at this time.
And so it probably adding 15 grand on the top, and that's probably where we should start at and see where what we can get as candidates. There's a lot of times, and I've been very successful, for people going to CPA, public accounting, out of college, and within their 5-year time frame, they decide they don't like public accounting and want to go into a private sector, And you find a lot of candidates like that, that have good basic accounting and the financial analyst skills and can go into a position like this. And it's more of a, progression for them that they don't like public accounting. So I would suggest we take it up. You can remove CPA, I'm not hung up on that, and go up to G8, and I'd be fine with that, the way it's written.
How do you, right now, it's CPA candidate preferred, it's
Yeah.
not a minimum.
Not
Yeah,
a-
it's
not a
preferred. It said we
preferred.
it wasn't necessary as a requirement. It was just say, if you had a CPA, we'd like that, but that's a benefit.
You think that's okay, to just as a preference, to kind of give guidance as to what we're looking for, leave it in there?
Yeah, might as well just say PhD in accounting.
But like you said, like Jimmy,
Preferred.
Exactly.
but like Jimmy stated, if, Councilman Ward stated, if the person is a CPA candidate, then that person would have to actually train under a CPA for 2 years. I'm not a CPA.
Yeah, they couldn't do
And it wasn't
that.
required when I was hired, so.
Right.
Right.
I don't know if that's,
We're kind of leading them.
yeah,
They would have to have that experience.
right, it
coming
wouldn't
in.
be fair to
Fair
them.
to them.
Yeah, they would have already
Yeah.
had served in 2 years.
Correct.
But Derek, I want to be sure that you're comfortable in walking away, that this is going to give you what you need. I mean, you need bookkeeping.
I
at
need
a basic
bookkeeping,
level.
but I think that the last sentence on this job description says perform, other duties as assigned. I think that will encompass everything that I need.
Pretty broad.
Pretty well.
As it appears in all of ours.
See, the CPA candidate, that means a lot of things. I've known CPA candidates that have been working in public accounting for 4 years, and they're going to the private sector, my full families full of CPAs and accountants and stuff, and they can be a candidate, but they can take the test, the exam 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 times. I mean, when I first passed it, it was 8% passed the first time out, not 80, but 8. So I was a candidate. Not a very good one that done that first go around, but I did okay the second time. But they can be a candidate and have a lot of experience, but it's a very tough test.
Very good.
We're fine.
All right, is there a motion? As needed.
Make a motion to approve the financial analyst position job description as amended.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Did we know that? Next item, new business discussion about beach preservation committee. Douglas, thank you for putting this together. As far as timeline, I think it's aggressive but good. And as far as the outline of the committee, I think you nailed it. You have anything you want to?
No,
Yeah.
not, other than I apologize, this came today for a meeting today, but what I've spelled out to you in an email is a process and really guidelines that are very close to the Environmental Advisory Committee process and their guidelines. And it has kind of the steps of creating the guidelines, getting those bought off on, and then us going out, getting candidates for this board, this committee, coming back through the process of being appointed, potentially having them meet as early as April if everything went kind of as quickly as it possibly could. So just want to get feedback on the process and specifically the guidelines if you had it.
My only comment, Douglas, was under general conditions, members serve 3-year terms, and I couldn't remember how we did the environmental. Would you do 1, 2, and 3-year terms, so there's some rotation, or you could extend people, I know, but maybe just so there's some staggering. I mean, it's only 5-member.
We did stagger, yeah, I think we would want, yes, we did stagger those, and there are more of them, so staggering,
Just for continuity.
yeah. So I think maybe members shall serve
Yeah.
3-year staggered terms.
So I got a couple as well. Under that same general conditions, it says that the members will be chosen by the admin committee. I think it should be recommended by the admin committee and approved by council, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And the other, it says it's going to be made up of 5 citizens, but and I've been thinking about whether at least half, or a majority rather, you can't have half, should be owners on the beach. You know, somewhere up and down the beach. And I'm just opening that up for discussion because a lot of these issues have more, I guess, more meaning and more immediate impact to those that live on the beach. The current, I think, membership includes at least, I think is there 4 residents on there, and 2 of them are on the beach and 2 of them aren't. I think it's good to have some that aren't as well, but that we prescribe the makeup of it to have 3 on the beach and 2 off the beach or something.
At least 2 or 3, which,
Well, since there's
Which
there's an odd number now, so I'd
Yeah,
say
which is
3
correct.
would be on the beach and 2 off the beach, yeah,
at
yeah,
least 3 oceanfront property owners.
yeah.
It's a fairly narrow universe, and we're gonna have trouble filling that.
Yeah, what if you have
Full-time resident.
people that are, the majority that don't live on the beach, but that are obviously have greater credentials, are they being shut out? Just because of where they live?
I would also have the concern, if you get a 5-person committee, and obviously beach matters are very emotional with private property rights, public beach access and things like that. If you set a minimum at 3, I think you've set the board up in a way, the committee up in a way that they are just by their very nature gonna favor the property rights side of that issue, because it will frequently come down to that issue. I wonder if you don't set a minimum at 2, have the other 3 be at large, and just see where the issues, where their consensus is formed based on that. I would think that if you set it up with a majority, oceanfront owners, their default is gonna be in favor of private property rights over public beach kind of issues, the majority of the time.
And are you suggesting one way is right and the other way is wrong?
I would say that if you have 3 at large, there's the
Yeah.
flexibility, it could go, it's more likely to go either way.
Somebody may argue, though, the other way around, for your exact reasoning.
So maybe you
That people off the
say-
beach will rather not take
maybe you
into
say
account
at
private
least
property
2
rights.
non-ocean front. I mean, that's kind of doing it in the negative.
Reverse.
Well, I live right across the street on Ocean Boulevard. I just wonder if, no matter what we do,
It-
somebody's not gonna like it.
Yeah, and you can not be prescriptive and just say the preference is to have a majority of the membership be oceanfront. That means if you don't get them, you don't have to, but it's a preference.
Like a CPA candidate.
Kind of. I mean, there's been times, there is, I don't think you're gonna have any problem getting candidates that want to sign up for this, at least initially. I don't know, maybe it'll wane after a while, but, we do have trouble with ATAX because it is prescriptive on filling certain kind of roles at times. And that's why instead of being prescriptive, you can say a preference is to have, so many. But if you don't get them, then you can always fill them with the other candidates. But
Yeah, it's a,
I don't know. I just think that it's probably gonna come up at some point as a discussion topic, and my preference would be to say, I think it is more pertinent to those that, have their homes in jeopardy to have a say in this, and so I would suggest that at least 3 be, as a preference, be beachfront.
I think if it's a preference that completely
Yep.
takes care of it.
Yeah.
And
Because wasn't-
it's also advisory, I mean, it's gonna.
It is it's not policy setting, it's
Right,
advisory,
So
right?
whatever they do,
Yeah.
you would just have to, this
Yeah.
sometimes happens where you have a board that you kind of know the lens that they see issues through, and you have to consider that one.
And this was Eddystone, right, that I think had this committee, and I think it was exclusive ocean.
Yes, and I think Edisto's though is more like, it's more akin to the Wild Dunes Community Association group, that a staff member goes and answers questions to them. I don't think, that they were a little bit of a different, they're a little bit of a different kind of purpose. They were working together, just like the Wild Dunes group worked together to get assessments in line to pay for things. That's more what that group, I think, is doing.
And eventually easements, I guess.
Yeah, easements was their big kind of push.
Was, just wondering about the future of this committee. I mean, is it gonna be forever, or is there a sunset to it, or what are their goals in the next year, 5 years, whatever, exactly?
Where you got the goals
Mhm.
outlined. How do we set up the environmental? I don't think it.
It is forever, it is forever.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the ad hoc committee, which was specifically a temporary group. This is a forever group, just like the environmental advisory committee. And kind of looking through our records, we have found that the city has done this, at least, there was a very similar committee, probably 20 years ago, formed. It appears that it just kind of flamed out and stopped meeting. So I think it would continue as long as the council found them to be useful.
Relevant, yeah. Okay.
And just kind of a little bit further in my thoughts on this makeup, I mean, ideally, at least in my opinion, you'd want someone from different areas of beachfront. Like, not all south, not all Wild Dunes, not all mid, I mean, you'd want kind of like somebody from the south, someone from Wild Dunes, want someone from the middle of the island. If we had a preference, that's what my preference would be, and then 2 non-beach members. Again, we don't know who's gonna be interested, but as I was looking at applicants coming in, I'd try to mix it up in terms of where they lived on the beach, because it's different depending on where you live. And I think we see that with the current committee, which I think is extremely valuable. Have someone from the south end and someone from Beechwood, area, that 2 different sides of the beach, 2 different issues, and I think it kind of rounds out the discussion that they're having.
So that we could either try to put that in the general conditions, try to write that into the general conditions, or that could be the function of the committee recommending the.
Well, I think you could always just put in, if we're doing a preference, say the preference be 3
Three ocean
front from
one Wild Dunes.
various locations of the island or something like that.
3 ocean fronts
Yeah.
owners representing different geographical areas.
Would you consider it like by voting precinct? We got 3 precincts, distinctive geographical areas.
Again, I think with getting volunteers, you only have 5. When you get too prescriptive, you kind of work yourself into a corner of trying to get positions filled.
But that would be the preference, just have people from the whole
From all
island.
over.
Yeah.
Representing. Okay. Yeah.
John, anything else? Jimmy? Douglas, thank you for putting that together. Next item is executive session in accordance with section 30-4-71, discussion of proposals from federal lobbyist firms and interview candidate for city administrator position. The committee may take action upon exiting the executive session. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Executive session.
All those in favor?